Hello and welcome to Impact with Kenny Anderson. It's my pleasure each week to come to you with information that we think is beneficial to you in this community and beyond. I'm the Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and it's my pleasure to be able to not just perform this job, but oftentimes to meet many people in this community who are doing some really terrific and wonderful things. It's our goal here on Impact Weekly to share some of those stories with you. Tonight, we've got some very special guests with us, and I'm glad that you've tuned in because I promise you this is the place that you need to be. AshaKiran is committed to educating, empowering, and providing sensitive and culturally unique programs for people in the South Asian community and beyond. And one of the many things, as I said, I get a chance to do in my job as Multicultural Affairs Officer is to move about the community working with a variety of groups and organizations and individuals who are dedicated and committed and very passionate about making a difference. Well, my guests represent some of those people tonight, and I'm going to introduce them to you at this time. First of all, we have Bhavani Kakani. She's the president of AshaKiran, and we're going to tell you more about what AshaKiran is in just a moment. But Bhavani, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for asking us.
It's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
All right.
Looking forward to it, Kenny.
Well, it's good to have you always. And like I said, always a pleasure to talk with you because I know you've always got some wonderful things happening. And this is an opportunity at this moment to share some of the good stuff about AshaKiran.
Yes.
All right. Ravindra Lal is Dr. Ravindra Lal is a volunteer for AshaKiran, and we welcome him to the broadcast.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you here tonight. And Mohammed Miran is also a volunteer with AshaKiran, and he likes to be called Miran. So, yes, Miran, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here to share my experience with AshaKiran.
Awesome. You know, I became aware of AshaKiran through Bhavani and an invitation to be a part of an organization or an event called A Ray of Hope in the very early stages of my tenure as Multicultural Affairs Officer earlier this year. And since then, it seems like our paths cross so often. I often make the joke that I need to check Bhavani's schedule to see where I need to be.
He does that, actually.
Because we run into each other so much.
Yes.
But I had the great privilege of getting to know you and the many capacities that you work in this community and the many hats that you wear. And I think you figured out pretty quickly I wear a lot of hats as well.
Yes, you do.
And it's just been a pleasure working together. But let's get right to it and tell folk that are listening, what is AshaKiran? Because we know who they are, we know what they do, we know they're doing some wonderful work in this community, but a lot of people don't know who we are, who you are.
Yes.
So tell us who AshaKiran is.
First of all, AshaKiran name itself is hard to remember because you don't hear that every day. And AshaKiran means ray of hope, like sun ray of hope to those that are experiencing traumatic situations, maybe going through stressful times. And AshaKiran actually started, Kenny, you know, this or not, it's to fill a community need because we did not have a culturally sensitive service organization that can provide these services to those people that have maybe language barriers, you know, like I'm speaking with accent, and especially if I'm in stress, I may not be able to speak at all. I may revert back to my own language. And also the resources they may not know, and cultural, you know, I may feel, or some of the people that have come from other cultures or other countries, they feel all these barriers, people may not understand them. So that is the reason it was started.
And how long has it been here in this community?
It's since 2006, about 7 years.
Okay, so tell me, I'm always interested in this. What made you already a very busy person in the community, doing lots and lots of things?
I get busy because of people like you that are always energetic and doing things.
Tend to energize one another.
Yes,
and I know exactly what you mean by that. But you already have lots of things going on. And, you know, the perception sometimes is that busy people don't need one more thing to do. But you start this organization. What was the motivation behind that for you?
You know, it's when I was a volunteer actually for many organizations such as the National Children's Advocacy Center. I was actually volunteered at hospice. And when I was going through these volunteer jobs or tasks or activities, I realized that, especially thinking of the abuse and the violence that go on, how does a person like me coming from India would address when we are here, because we don't have family or the support as you do in where you have come from. So, and also there are cultural barriers, how you communicate that to the other person when you need support. So that's when I was thinking, what is that we can, or an organization or a support group or the temple or the mosque, where do we go? What do we do? Then it came to me talking to the several people in the community that we may need an organization that's a central resource. So people can call, say for example, if they move in, where is the temple, where is the mosque? Sometimes they may not find it right away because it may not be published in the telephone book. Like myself and my husband, when we first moved in, we didn't know how to look at the telephone book. Yeah. I mean, it was a long time back.
Yeah, but let me stay on that for one moment, because you're making such a powerful point, and I oftentimes talk about this in my cultural diversity training, that we tend to, and I'm saying we as Americans, we tend to become spoiled in terms of what we have access to in terms of information.
Yes.
And it's easy for me to open up a phone book and look under the heading of church.
Yes.
And find something that I'm looking for. But can I find a heading for synagogue? Can I find a heading for mosque? Can I find a heading for temple? These are valid, legitimate experiences in people's lives who live in this community, in this region, in this nation. And so from a culturally sensitive perspective, like you're saying, you could be a highly educated person and not be able to find the simplest, most basic things that are part of your cultural experience. So that's a very important point that you're making.
And especially, Huntsville has become pretty cosmopolitan. But the population of each culture may be lesser than what you think in New York or some of the California bigger cities. So we may not see a synagogue or a temple, dedicated section in the Yellow Pages, or you can Google it nowadays. Of course, not everybody is as savvy as younger generation are, but I think that is where the cultural gaps comes in. So you need a central source. Say which physician do I need to go to? I guess when you think of that, say for example, you go to North, you'll find some friends to ask, who do you think I should go to? Are you even here in Huntsville? You ask someone. So in the same manner, this will work, especially when highly sensitive and confidential things like domestic violence, or if you have some other type of health issues you may not want to share with everyone. So that's the time you really need some organization or some group that keeps it confidential and give you credible and resourceful information. Even if they don't know it, they can research and find out. So that especially if it is similar backgrounds, it's much more reliable maybe, or the person that's calling may feel safer or feel like they're getting the information that suits for them.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that you were a volunteer for lots of organizations, and we both know that the strength of any organization is built upon its volunteers, especially volunteer organizations.
Yes, we have
or
two
nonprofit
active
organizations. So we've got two volunteers here with us who are a part of the AshaKiran organization. Dr. Lal and also Miran are with us at this moment. And I'm going to ask you a similar question to what I asked Bhavani, because you're obviously busy people, successful people, family people, doing lots of things, being pulled in many directions on a regular basis. What draws you to volunteer for an organization like AshaKiran?
As Bhavani said earlier, when we found out about the AshaKiran's mission and goals, we really felt that this is an organization which I want to support. Although I do support other organizations like the Hindu Temple of North Alabama for many years. I was on the board, I was on the staff, but from last few years, as a matter of fact, from 2006, I've been very dedicated to support the AshaKiran. And mainly because of the reason that this serves a large number of group of people from different communities, different countries, and so on. So that gives me very good satisfaction in my mind to support not only from India, but from Ceylon, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, and other people as well.
Were you approached, or did you know about AshaKiran?
I knew about the AshaKiran because my wife was involved earlier than me
Yes.
in AshaKiran. So I used to see her, although being the nature of AshaKiran being very confidential, I didn't know anything. But
Slowly.
But you didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. So that gave me incentive. And then I approached, and Bhavani approached me that I should take part in it.
Awesome.
And that's the way I started.
Awesome.
Before we go to Miran, maybe let me say one thing. It's confidentiality is the key here. Because we are small communities, whether one comes from India or whether one comes from African countries or European countries, we are small communities and the grapevine goes very fast. So the confidentiality is a greater issue, and we give much more importance to it. That is the reason. Even though his wife was volunteering, he did not know what was going on. So,
and you have to have a degree of trust involved with that. You have to have people who you know that you can have that sense of confidence in, that they won't compromise the work that you're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Because the minute that happens, you neutralize your ability to be effective.
Yes.
Right. Miran, you're a volunteer. What attracted you to this organization?
Just like Dr. Lal, I am part of Huntsville Islamic Center, where I have taken different roles in governing the Islamic Center. I'm currently the principal of the Weekend Islamic School. But the fact is, I guess this is more, it's not religious-based organization, AshaKiran, it's open to everybody. The fact that we go out and help people, that's kind of like very appealing for me. You never know at what time, at what point you yourself would need it. You means myself would need any help. So the fact that we are trying to make changes or trying to help people, that is very satisfying to me. And people out there, they have been living in this community. Some of the people that we come across have been living in these people, but we don't know they existed there. But due to AshaKiran, they have come forward and seeking whatever their help that is there. And as Bhavani mentioned, it is very confidential. So we take that very seriously, and we try to reach out people and try to help them out. That's the part that appealed to me, and then that's how I got involved with AshaKiran.
As it relates to American culture and what you certainly see oftentimes expressed and practiced in American culture, are there cultural differences between the population that you most likely work with, that sort of distinguishes the need to do the kind of work you do in a certain kind of way?
Yes. We can start with first food. You have experienced it when you came to the dinner. Probably have not eaten most of it any other place except
That's true.
that.
And it was very good, by the way.
Thank you. I think most food, wherever we go, any culture, we try the authentic, food rather than the tourist. You like some, you don't like some, and then you acquire taste. But you appreciate why they're doing what they're doing, So the food is also a comfort food. We're talking about someone that's going through some kind of a stressful times. Usually we go to the refrigerator or somewhere, you have a snack that feels good for you, We reach for food sometimes. Some people don't reach for food. One is food, the spices that we use, how we cook it, that's different. And another one is, here in the States, we focus on individual. How the individual educates him or herself, what degrees they want to get, what degrees they don't want to get, or what profession they choose. It's for the individual benefit.
Individualistic culture.
Yes,
that's who we are in America. That's right.
And we are. Whereas in the other countries, many of the countries, it's the extended family.
Yes.
It's not the nuclear family. So if it does not suit that nuclear family or the extended family, they may not do it, even though it may be beneficial just for them. So that itself makes a cultural difference. For example, I give you as myself, I was born and raised in India, and I went to school here. I got my bachelor degree and master's here. I had hard time drinking a Coke or, sitting very comfortably or leaning back. The reason is the elders are respected because in the extended families, and you usually don't speak out or loudly or do anything that is not respectful. So some of those things are, even now actually, I find myself catching, if someone is older, to say, no, that's not it, this way, or argue about something. So I stay back. I watch that in myself. It's because of the upbringing, even though I've been here more than half of my life. But still, that stays. So some of those will come into play. Even consciously, you may not be doing it. Unconsciously, they will come and play. And also, say, for example, if you have someone traumatized, they may not speak to a man, especially if it is a woman. That can come into play. I'm not saying this is all the way through, but there is a possibility. And they may not speak to police right away because they may not understand, because they're not used to that. And so some of these things will come into play.
Yeah. We're talking, you started out talking about food. And of course, I think that's a little device that you use to keep people coming back. Because, all you have to do is tell me you're doing something, I'm going to be there because I know it's going to be some delicious food. But it's interesting, I think, how oftentimes if we don't, and this is unlike myself, but if we don't take advantage of people from other cultural backgrounds, we miss tremendous opportunities to learn how we are so much more alike than we are different. And it's a beautiful thing to celebrate and recognize differences.
Yes.
But the common ground that we stand on is the thing that also binds us together.
Sure.
And no one's going to argue with a meal. No one's going to argue with, every environment I've been in has been a hospitable environment. I went to the Hindu center. Actually, I think it was back in May. And there was a lecture from a Swami who was visiting at the time, giving a special lecture. And from the parking lot to the lobby to the actual facility, I was welcomed by everyone there as if I had always been there. It was just an amazing experience. And the Islamic temple, Islamic Center, the mosque, have had a chance to actually worship there and hear lectures there as well. And, everywhere I go, people are people.
Yes.
It's just an amazing thing. And one of the things I know AshaKiran does is in sharing this gift of service to the community is also the gift of sharing the culture and the cultures of different people with the community. How important is that, and how conscientious are you of that whole process as part of what you do?
I can take that question, I guess. Probably I'm deviating a little bit, but then I think each individual, like for example, myself and several other people, they have got innate nature to help people out there. There are lots of people out there with problems that they don't want to explain or express or whatever. But then having AshaKiran, one single organization out there, so people like me, volunteers like me, just go out there, and then we have got something, a setup or an organized way of doing certain things. So lots of, we've got hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that are without, I guess, across the line, without language. Even within India, they've got hundreds and hundreds of languages. And but we all come together under a single roof with the single soul I guess, idea of helping people. And there are also people who have always hidden their problems within their heart and not expressing. Now, having found AshaKiran and the confidentiality, they are now opening up, trying to seek help. It's not in a positive way, and then improving their lifestyle.
Yeah. It's got...
Okay, you have seen the diverse population that have come to the annual dinner other day, and you have seen it at the human chain event, health screening. So not only that, because AshaKiran's vision is, it aspires towards building a healthy and harmonious community. So it's in its vision, it's there already. And like Miran said, so we try to have everyone as a team working together under, whether we do an event. You were involved in the health screening, health fair, North Alabama Health and Wellness Fair. We collaborated with 100 Black men, and then North Alabama Coalition Against Homelessness and AshaKiran. It brought not only the diversity itself it has, but we became a part of as one.
Yes.
Here. So that theme goes through with the human chain. You have seen the diversity there. All the other events. So we take a little step at a time, like Miran said, since AshaKiran become the central source. So we try to embrace all the cultures. And you were saying like the food, or the dancing, or some cultures may not like dancing, but it doesn't matter. They still will come and try to enjoy. They may not do it, but we're not trying to hurt when we do it. So I think the team, or the people, understands that we are all one. We are trying to have a normal, peaceful life.
Educate each other and help out each other. And as Bhavani mentioned, we've got several educational planned activities throughout the year.
So if you look in general, the broad areas AshaKiran actually serves are the three major areas. One is the direct services, provide help. Also the outreach and educational activities, which we do perform in a year many times, and also the advocacy. And all these three activities have sub-activities planned in the whole year. So there are almost about 13 to 14 different activities which takes place throughout the year. Almost every month there is one activity.
And these activities, these workshops, these seminars are open to public in general. And some of these we open, it's open in facilities like Madison Public Library or Huntsville Public Library, or we go to Huntsville Hospital to conduct. So that Dowdle Center, these people have been really helpful to us to go out there and conduct these activities and open up to the public. And our goal is to reach out to people and educate people, make them aware of
any issues,
just keep them up to date.
We want to be proactive.
And you do a great job of that. And I think it's great how you use various venues to make that happen. And then maintain that it's open and accessible by the public.
It's open to public. All of our activities are open to public. Kite Festival, we have done it this year, the first Kite Festival, where we had jump in, Miran, whenever you are.
If you saw it at the Kite Festival, Huntsville Islamic Center were prominent right there at the volunteer booth. And then there were a whole other organization from the Hindu temple that they were there. From the church, there were people from the churches, various organizations. It was so nice to see all of the people come out to this particular soaring for justice, and everybody believed in that, and we had almost like about 2,000 people show up. It was
we had
as Miran said, that the Kite Festival has now become an annual event.
That's right.
And the mayor is very pleased on that. It's going to be every year.
That's right.
Actually, that is another collaboration. So, of course, the city has partnered with us this year, partnering next year. And of course, they had also provided transportation with the health fair that we have. So in each one you can see human chain event. We had collaborated with Crisis Services of North Alabama, Community Coordinated Response Task Force for Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, and also Human Trafficking, Sora Optimist International. You can see the diverse organizations that we work with. We have about 120 organizations that we, one way or the other, we get in touch with. And Kite Festival and Human Chain Event and health screening fulfill that, not only the collaboration, but bringing that healthy and harmonious community piece into it. Because we are working with diverse religions, diverse cultures, diverse countries, everything diverse food. But, Human Chain Event was very, showed impact or solidarity that we want to minimize the violence, holding hands, and as a big chain formed.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't matter whether one is a Islam or one is a Hindu, one is a Christian, or one is black, one is white. It is, so it is just that we are there.
Yeah.
And we all have the same human behaviors. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether what culture, what race, where you come from. We have all the human behavior.
As human beings, we face all the same kind of problems, whether we are here, whether back home, or anywhere else. And it's just trying to help us each out, sharing their problems, and then trying to help out as much best as we could.
And you make a great point, because as human beings, doesn't matter where you are.
Exactly right.
I would guess, and I haven't been everywhere, but I would guess that I can go anywhere, and people want basically the same things I want.
Exactly right.
Yes.
They want to be able to have a safe environment.
Exactly right.
They want their children to grow up in an environment where there's love and concern and care. They want their children to be educated in good schools and be exposed to good values. Nobody says, I want the worst quality of life for my life and for my family. Nobody says that. Nobody says I want things to go downhill for me.
Sure.
Nobody says I want injustice to be the call of the day. Nobody says those things. So when we start talking to people and really finding out that, again, we have so much more alike than that there is different, at least things that we can really join together on, regardless of differences of any type, and say, at the very basic fundamental level, here's what we want for our community. Right. And we can all agree on these things.
Yes.
So much more can happen as a result of that.
Back home, I think we can have extended families and we can seek help from. But here, you are my extended family, these are my extended family for all of us. This is America is a melting pot, and we are all here, and each one of us is like part of an extended family.
That's right.
So it's much more important for us to be together and work together and help out each other, and then share our problems, and then whatever we can.
And we become a family.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
we
right.
become a family.
If you look at the various awards which AshaKiran has got from diverse group of people, and that will tell you that how this AshaKiran is visioned by various communities. Last year, we got the award, Charles Ray Jr. Memorial Award for 2013. AshaKiran got that. We got the Community Service Award from the North Alabama chapter, Hindu Cultural Center of North Alabama. We are endorsed, AshaKiran is endorsed by various societies, the Islamic Society Center of Huntsville, Alabama, the Hindu Cultural Center, the Odisha Foundation, the Nepali Association, the Association for the Alabama Association for the Physicians of Indian Origin. So various organizations have endorsed AshaKiran, and that sort of gives a testimony to our, and various testimonials. Our volunteers go to city schools to interpret. There are students who come from India who do not speak very good English. And the school teachers have problems understanding. So we have volunteers who are trained in different languages.
That's wonderful.
Who go to school and interpret.
That's
and also tutoring.
And the tutors.
Provide tutoring.
And we have received testimonials from some school teachers that AshaKiran is doing a great job in helping those individuals.
We got seconds to go, so please tell us how people can get in touch with AshaKiran.
Okay, we have a 24/7 hotline, our hope line. It's 256-509-1882. It's 24/7, and it's confidential. Trained counselors are there.
Website?
The website is www.ashakiranonline.org. And also we have an emergency shelter. It's the only one in Alabama.
All right.
That is the only one that provides culturally sensitive services.
That's awesome. And we can get more information by calling those numbers once again.
Let me just mention one more thing if you have time.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Okay, that's okay.
Bhavani, Kakani, Ravindra Lal, and Mohammed, Miran, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for joining us for Impact. We'll be back again next week for another broadcast. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.